Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. It's Friday, TGIFF, as we like to say over here in American Scouser. Kermit is back in action because it is Friday. Coffee is here. And with us today is Kazi. Kazi, what's happening?
Hey man, how are you? I'm enjoying the news happening. Liverpool are all over the summer transfer window, which sounds absolutely crazy to say out loud.
I
So
could do without. I'm the opposite. Like I could do without. I'm just like, just give me the occasional. And we have interest in this. Within 48 hours, we sign them, and life goes on, kind of a thing. I just these on and on and on, and everybody farts out of their ass and tweets out of their ass is gets old on me. But Anon is with us as well. What's going on, man?
Good morning. I'm just as confused as everybody else with what's going on, and that's probably a good way to start the week.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's been kind of I really thought we would wake up. I mean, as we kind of like get prepped, I really thought we would wake up to some updates. So it's almost like when I was kind of like looking at the headlines last night, I'm like, well, these all might change by the time I wake up in the morning, kind of a deal. But looks like not really much has changed. Let's start with the easy one because this feels like in some ways a no-brainer because of the fee that's being discussed. I mean, they're talking about like 40 million is Al Ittihad, so they have money. They're part of that group that owns a bunch of teams in this weird ass league of theirs. But so it sounds realistic, Kazi. The price is good, and it's all what I like about the prices is pretty much pays you the replacement cost. Maybe you're not getting somebody as experienced and stuff like that if you go after Lavia, for example. But for the most part, what you're getting in pays for the replacement.
yes, yeah, I think this is a really good piece of business by Liverpool. If this gets done, I don't think the plan was to ever sell him this summer. I don't think that was ever a part of the plan. But sometimes an offer is just too good to turn down, and Liverpool need to kind of think on the feet. Um, as you stated, they are part of this group, the PIF group, who have got the money, and Liverpool should be asking, and I'm assuming they will, for all the money up front, and not this 5-year plan like we do with most clubs and other clubs do with other clubs. Nothing like that. You give us the 40 million and you give us it up front now, please, because we have to go out and replace. And what this does allow us, and I understand the Lavia conversation, it allows Liverpool to go and get a bigger hitter, I think, and more of a proven player, and not one that you're kind of taking a punt on. So, for example, the Chouamini thing, which is still kind of a punt, but he has played at a higher level than Southampton. So it does give you that, more of a sure bet than Lavia, let's say. There's also rumours, I know the Bayern Munich presence is the Kimmich thing, not with Liverpool, but Kimmich kind of interested maybe in like a fresh start, that kind of thing. That's what it allows Liverpool to do. But let's get this right, by the way. Fabinho for 3 years was the best number 6 in the world. There's no danger about that. People always talk about Alisson and Virgil came in and we won everything. Fabinho came in just after Kiev and was the best player in that season. In the Barcelona 4-0 game, he was Liverpool's best player, without a doubt. So, for me, legend of the club, mainstay of Jurgen Klopp's time, brilliant footballer. But you recruit him more money than what you pay for him, I think. And it's been great business all around by Liverpool if this gets done.
That's the interesting part. I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If this offer comes in the way it does, Anon, without Fab's recent form, it would not probably sound as good. I think we're all, we were even talking about it over here. Who do we need to bounce back and, regain their old form and stuff like that. And we figured maybe Fab might because he'll have better midfielders around him and stuff like that. But are we kind of like all, for the most part, in agreements in this, what I've seen online and like in our like Discord channel and stuff like that, due to his recent form? If it was like the Fab that, Kazi is talking about, let's say 2 seasons ago, who carries the load, protects the back line and everything like that, do we then say, yeah, 40 sounds good? Or are we like, no, we can't sell him?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with recent form. Everybody's looking at what Fabinho was able to do last season and say we can do better. And for that 40 million pounds, That's a great bit of business. But the way I see it is don't sell him unless you've got a replacement planned and ready. We do not want to panic buy. We could reach a phase where, okay, Fabinho goes for 40 million and now we're trying to replace him, and all the other clubs know what we're doing. We're trying to replace him and they're like, you know what? Lavia's now 60 million, Tchouaméni's now 100, and so on and so forth. So before Fabinho goes, we have to have that replacement secured. I think we're all in agreement that 40 million for him is going to be a good bit of business because you're bringing back what you paid for plus securing the payment for the next player. But all I ask for is no move happens unless we've got a lined up, ready replacement. We cannot start the season with two brand new midfielders and youth. So that leaves me with secure the next guy and move him. And right now, Al Ittihad, Al Nasr, Al Hilal, and Al Ahli have been transfer banned until they pay a little bit of the money that they owe former players. And it's not that much. So that'll be taken care of within the next 24 hours or so. So that deal is very likely going to happen. But for the sake of next season, secure the replacement and then make the moves.
On the related news, Arthur is available. Juventus just released him. So I'm just saying, if you're looking for a panic buy, look no further and just go get like Arthur on a free. He'll be on a free. So
and our physios will need to do some work next season. They're probably really confused right now because they're starting to lose a lot of those injury-prone players. Keita's gone, Oxlade's gone. They're like, shit, we need someone. So Arthur is ready to get them working. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. You know,
well, your boy Thiago is there to be fair.
And Thiago's yeah. So
but yeah, they're probably updating their resumes. They're like, dude, there's no way they need all 10 of us anymore. Like, just...
I think the bigger point here is though for this, especially. Again, I don't think this is a part of Liverpool's plans. I think this is just taking them by surprise. But sometimes that's how it comes around. You know, I think they were planning on starting the season with Fabinho and Trent in this new hybrid role. That was the plan. But sometimes, unfortunately, offers come in. It's just too good to turn down. Every single player in the history of world football has a price. They just do. They're just getting the price. Haaland's worth 300 million. If Real Madrid come in and bid 300 million for Haaland, City sell Haaland, it just is what it is. So... everyone's got a price, and unfortunately, Fabinho's price was that. He has 3 years left on his deal. If you get this season out the way, let's say he stays, he's got 2 years left, and then Liverpool lose all the bargaining chip because you'll just go, we'll just wait another 12 months, and you're going to let him go for 8 million quid. That's what's been happening previously with the other players. So Liverpool right now can jump on this. Well, funny enough, we're probably going to go into that on the Henderson situation.
Let's get to that one. I felt like, Fabinho was almost the easier one. And I think, like I said, and like, and I was saying, it's partially due to his recent form. That's why we kind of like remember how he finished, and we're all waiting to see. We don't know which Fab we're going to get back.
Yeah.
Right. So this kind of eliminates the risk, gives you his replacement cost, pays you what you paid for him. Did we get him for 30 or 40? I just could not remember that.
I think we got him for 30.
Signed them. Was it 30, right?
We got him for 30, yeah.
Which was pretty decent for the time. But,
it was the day after the Champions League final, wasn't it? After Kiev.
Yeah, like came out of nowhere, like, just nowhere. They were
like, what's funny is we signed Fabinho. When we signed him, it was such a major curveball. We're all sad. We're like, oh, shit, we just signed this holding midfielder. And then yesterday, we're like, damn it, Henderson's going. We're like, oh shit, Fabinho's going. Like, it is this Fabinho guy. Everything about his transfers is like so out of nowhere. Like, I woke up yesterday and I'm like, the Saudis want Fabinho for 40 million? Idiots. Okay, you know, like what is going on? So so
like people
confusing.
like talking to the handle, like you leaving and stuff in the background. You see Fab like pulling his luggage out. Like,
and you know what's funny is apparently Al Ittihad, I started reading a lot on Twitter yesterday. Apparently, they've been working on making an offer for him since July 3rd. Did you guys see that? I've ended up following a fan page for Al Ittihad that talks about their players and transfers, and the pinned post was, "We're making a move for Fabinho soon," and it was July 3rd. And I'm like, what the hell? How come none of us saw this?
I'm a big fan, by the way, of our new sporting director just sitting on the phone to Saudi clubs going, yeah, you want him? Yeah. I reckon Nat Phillips is going to play there for 25 million soon. Just like, do you want Nat Phillips 25 mil? Go on, lad, take him.
Yeah, everybody said
when Chelsea was selling everybody, we were like, hey, why didn't we like try to think of this earlier? But it seemed like nobody was like, they didn't show interest at the time. And I think it kind of hurts us in that sense because we're not prepared for this and we're not ready for this. And we don't have the replacements ready. And I know what you're saying in terms of like getting the guy first. But, before that money comes in, this money is not going to go out. And so the moment you get the money and turn around, they're going to be like changing the price tag and the flipping the numbers on the player that you're after. But I think either way, I mean, if they said, hey, another 10, 20 million or whatever, and you get so much younger in this position and possibly better in this position, I think you do the move either way.
Absolutely.
I say this all the time. There's only so many times that Liverpool can be the smartest people in the room. Eventually, you will have to overpay for a football player. Eventually, you will not get good business. You've just had Brighton's pants down on McAllister. Supposedly looks like a great bit of business. Eventually, you're going to have to go, you know what? We're going to have to swallow and pay 20 million over the asking price because, you know what? We've been the smartest guys in the room for 7 years, 8 years here. And there's only so many times you can do that. So, unfortunately, Liverpool, if the Fabinho deal goes through, which looks very likely, may have to go and spend 100 million, Tchouaméni. You just may have to do it, unfortunately, because you need this player. It's not even like, oh, it'll be nice to have. No. You need a holding midfield player.
Yeah.
You need it now.
And I think in some ways that's why it's good. It kind of forces our hand, doesn't it?
It's different for Liverpool. Liverpool haven't been in this position in years. Because Liverpool have been so organised in what they do and how they go. Liverpool now, by day 5, day 6 of the training camp, we know our team. We know our squad. And we've closed shop. Our signings are usually in. But this is brand new to Liverpool. Liverpool haven't acted in this way in a long time. So, again, you've got to strike while the iron's hot. The deal offer is far too good to turn down, and you've got to think on the fly. And I'm sure Jorge is doing his best, as they say, calling everyone. He's this crazy, absolute psychopath of a chief exec. But I'm excited.
Let's get to this one, because this one bugs the shit out of me. This really does bug the shit out of me. I had, Kermit is out today, but I think I had Grumpy out like 3 days in a row. Like I was rinsing and refilling, because I was like, so Henderson's ordeal. So this started, I think we talked about it Wednesday morning, right? And you were more than, I know, like Saito was here. There was a lot of people ready to ship him out already that were kind of waiting in line to ship out Henderson. But my feeling at the time was, and this is why I'm extremely disappointed, that he would not go. He would not be the guy that went. And especially having seen how he showed up in training. So, and let's start with you on this one. This is the part that gets me the most. Because people are trying to twist this now and almost give Henderson an easier way out. And I'm not, and I'm the biggest freaking Henderson fan. Maybe that's why I'm pissed off more than everybody else. Because this like kind of pisses me off that it's like, oh, the playing time, he talked to Klopp. Fuck off. Because he knew what he was walking into when he came in the offseason. That's why it was boxing and stuff like that. His body looks like Mo's body now suddenly. He's got all these muscles and stuff. If he was interested going to Saudi Arabia in the first place, he could have been just sitting down eating donuts and burgers, and he would still go and play in Saudi Arabia. Why work out? It's nothing but money, ultimately, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, and let's look at it this way. We talked about this on Wednesday, and I said it that the Saudi team, Al Ittifaq, said they won't make an offer unless they get confirmation that Hendo is interested. And then suddenly, a few hours later, they make an offer, which tells you he's interested. And yeah, it's a money grab. They're talking about £700,000 per week. That is money Messi isn't making, and for him, it's life-changing, it's career-changing, and honestly, it's the easiest money he's ever going to make. So yes, Hendo wants to go. He wants the money. He wants the minutes. He wants to play. And this whole idea, again, of him being that marquee signing for a team, that's never, ever going to happen in his career. No, if he repeats his career a million more times. So this whole idea for him is a brand new idea, and he was all in for it. As soon as those those rumors started coming in, I knew he's going to be all over that. It's nothing but a money grab. The Saudi League right now for the next year or 2 years, maybe even 3 years, is going to be a major money grab. We're going to see even bigger names start moving there because they want to cash out. And that's what Hendo is at. He knows his place at Liverpool, as I said on Wednesday, is now limited. He knows he's not going to be playing 90 minutes. He knows he's not going to be starting. Hell, he knows that captain's armband.
To do with it is my thing. Like, I don't think that has anything to do with it, and that's what annoys me. I don't think.
Well, yeah, you're like, why'd you show up so prepared if you're ready to move? And the thing is, he showed up so prepared, and he saw that that's not making a difference. Nobody saw him and was like, oh my God, he's so ripped. Yeah, he's definitely in. It's a matter of right now, Klopp is being ruthless. He is thinking of this as what is the best team that I'm going to put out there that's going to compete with City. And that team just does not include Henderson, at least not for 90 minutes. And Henderson realized that when they talked, and he told him, "You've got limited minutes coming up this season." And he said, "Listen, 700,000 pounds a week, sign me up."
Yep.
I know this is the same guy that did not want to go to a guaranteed spot to fight for his jersey back then, right? And stayed, won his jersey, and has led this team. He's been the leader of the team, face of the team in terms of like leadership, the captain. I just don't. I'm, I guess, extremely disappointed because I felt looking at the guy that Henderson is, because I saw him as a like more of like a role modelish kind of person, the way he carries himself, what he does off the pitch and stuff like that. I kind of saw him as a player that those certain things would mean more to him than money.
Unfortunately, everyone's got a price to get rid of their morals. And I know it sounds horrible to say, but they've got a price. And we were kind of assuming as fans, I think, that we would just move Henderson into this new Milner role. What if Henderson didn't want to do the Milner role? What if Henderson thought, I don't fancy that. I don't want to do that.
I had him starting against Chelsea.
I mean, I'm just saying, that's what maybe Henderson doesn't fancy. I don't want to do that. And then he's came back. Yes, he's in great shape, of course. And I don't think, listen, last week, I don't think Henderson was thinking about leaving Liverpool Football Club. I just think the office came in and he was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm 33, I've won the lot. I've got nothing to prove at Liverpool. I owe Liverpool nothing. And he doesn't. And he's more than right to go to Saudi Arabia and go and get the money if that's what he wants to do. But the problem is, and I understand your thing about the role model thing, his previous statements in the past, he has to swallow them. And he has to go, you know what? You've come out and made very outspoken political statements, which I agree with, by the way. I do agree with what he stood for, 100%. But now you're going to have to answer them. And because now, that's what hurts them more, I think, because he has been so outspoken on the Rainbow Laces campaign and the rainbow armbands and stuff like that. But again, everyone's got a price, unfortunately, and his price is 700 grand a week. And
wouldn't you? I mean, that's the part that's disappointing to me. Wouldn't you think of all these things of how it hurts your legacy? And I had people say like, "Oh, it doesn't affect his legacy." Yes, it does. I'm the dude's biggest fan. I've been like, it's been like 3-4 years now. I've been telling all kinds of morons who don't understand what Hendo does on the pitch, what actually Hendo brings. Yeah. If it hurts, it definitely hurts his legacy for me. I don't see him as the same player that he was. I don't see him as the same person that he was. Why wouldn't it to like affected everybody else? And Chris says, I'm glad Chris asked this because why is it okay to waive Bobby off to get the money in that hand? See, I feel like they're two different categories. I do not expect Bobby to be, and I don't want to say loyal to Liverpool because I don't think I agree. He doesn't owe anything to Liverpool. He's given everything to Liverpool. No. But I don't expect Bobby to do that. Bobby was signed and came over from Germany. He's originally Brazilian and stuff like that. And you didn't have Bobby going around saying all the stuff against, or like the rainbow laces and all that kind of stuff, and then go around and be like, is it illegal over there? Oh, who cares? Whatever. How much you guys are paying me? And then go over there. And that's what hurts the legacy more. He doesn't owe anything to Liverpool, but I think I feel like he would owe something to his legacy and what he did. Do you walk on? These people are not broke. And this is like, I understand if somebody came to us and said, oh, I'm going to pay you this much and stuff. Yeah, we would all be freaking running, mid show, we would probably just head out and just empty back screens over here. But I think it's a different situation. These people, but at the same time, I think if we were well off, I mean, a lot of people that listen to us or whatever are probably doing a job right now that they might not do or they might not enjoy, but they're doing it to pay their bills and stuff. And given the situation, given the possibility, they would bail and do what they like and stuff like that. You know what I mean? These people are not in that situation. Like Hendo is not in that. Hendo is well off. This is generational wealth and stuff. Hendo has generational wealth. Hendo can fart and put out another book and make that much money. And I think that's what gets to me, Anan, is that I don't think money should be that much of a head turner to flush your legacy down the toilet. And looks like he is.
Well, let's start with the difference between Hendo and Bobby. Is Bobby's contract was, ran out, and we never offered him a new contract. So it's not like he owed us anything. So he could have gone to Mars, and we can't say nothing about that. Hendo is our captain. And he is very outspoken about all these issues. And what we've learned in the last 24 to 48 hours, that money makes all the issues go away. And he said it multiple times. Everybody has a price. And Hendo thinks 700,000 a week is enough. And, I just want to do some, 700,000, and you can do the math on that. He's going to be, oh my God, he's going to be, I'll drive him and I'll take 100,000 a week. It's worth it. And remember, at 33, he's won everything a Liverpool captain can win. He's won everything in England. He's got nothing left to prove in the Premier League. He's got nothing left to prove in the Europa League. He's got nothing left to prove in the Champions League. He's won it all. The only concern for me that I ask, if he does go to Saudi, is he going to miss out on that Euro that's coming up next summer? But other than that, there's nothing left for him to do. 33 years old, 34, 35, career's over. He's done. He's retired unless he wants to be a James Milner. So there is no point to lose out on that much money just because we're going to be upset over the statements he made previously and how he's selling that out. Money changes everything. We saw the BBC being completely against the Qatar World Cup, and then they got a really nice little studio, and they were like, woohoo, let's do this, So what's 700,000 to a guy like Hendo? It's Jordan Henderson. I love him, but it's Henderson. He's no De Bruyne, he's not Michael Ballack, he's not freaking Ronaldinho. It's Jordan Henderson. 700,000 a week.
Yeah. That's the funny thing. Like when we talked about it, comparing him with Thiago, we were like, hey, you would think a team over there will be interested more in a player like Thiago. That's more of a exciting player and stuff like that, as opposed to Henderson. They're like, oh, look at him run like a workhorse. She's like, okay. And so now what?
Here's the thing. Did you guys see the training video of the club Al Ittifaq, Gerrard's first training video?
Yes.
You guys see why he needs Henderson.
Yeah.
It isn't about football or talent. Just he's like, fuck's sake, give me somebody that understands me. And I think he gets Henderson.
There's another problem. Yeah, I was saying this in the Discord channel. I mean, if English is your second language, obviously it is for me. And I, went to college. I started college in London, and my best buddy Daniel was from Liverpool. And dude, I swear, it took me a week every time. He sounds exactly like freaking Kazi over here. It took me a week every time initially to get used to it. So I feel like even the Arab players on that team who thought they knew English is probably second guessing their education. And they're like, man, I thought we knew English. We're not understanding a word Gerrard says. What the hell?
He simply said, do you want the ball? And they were looking at him. He's like, do you want the ball? And they're like, do we want the ball? I don't know. What's happening? And he's like, we'll fucking communicate.
I got ball, but I don't understand anything else you're saying.
So,
go ahead, Kazi. Justify this accent for us.
Listen, what? You know what it reminded me of? It's like when you're playing with your older brother who got the ball. Do you want the ball? Then he just kicks the ball like you're dead hard when you were a kid. Like, I felt like the players are going, oh, I've been here before. You know what I mean? But that's what I felt like, at least. But, with the Henderson situation, I don't think it does damage his legacy. I think it damages his legacy, what we thought he was as a person. That's different. But in terms of what he's done for Liverpool, not for me at all.
But do you separate that when you look back? I mean, now it's easier to separate. 10 years from now.
Yeah.
When we look back, the other day, we posted something about Suarez. When I look back on Suarez now, ridiculous moments and stuff like that, and he was great. But I cannot put aside the other shits, like his freaking going around eating everybody and his racism and stuff. I can't separate those now that it's been so long. Does that make sense?
But no one mentions the summer before the 13-14 season when he was training on his own with the kids, trying to force a move to Arsenal. No one even talks about that anymore. Of course, the racism is 100%, but no one talks about when he tried to force a move then. No one talks about when Steven Gerrard tried to force a move to Chelsea in the midst of the biggest rivalry in English football at the time. No one talks about it. It does forget that. I always go back to the Torres thing. The Torres thing to me felt like, opportunity missed because you never won anything. And that was my favourite team growing up. That was my hero, was Torres, because we were garbage for a long time and Torres came in and we were challenging for the league title. And we just barely lost out to the best Man United side of all time. And I'll argue with anyone that 09 side is the best side of all time in the Premier League, at least. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So my point is with Henderson, that will get forgotten about. Does it damage his legacy as a person of who I thought he was? Yeah, that's fine. But does it damage his legacy as a player? No, not really. Legend of a footballer for me. Brilliant. Leader. Would never have won the things that we won without him. And you're 33 years of age. Bobby Firmino, by the way, it's a good point. Bobby, he's 31. He's 31. And he's went, I'm getting this bag and I'm fucking doing this for 2 years. And I'm going to go back to Brazil and be a king at 33. Go and play for fucking Newell's Old Boys or something like that or whatever it's going on.
Yeah, my hometown, like the team I started out with and stuff like that. And that's fine, that's fine and dandy, like cash in. Like I didn't think as much for like Bobby. I wasn't as disappointed. It just hurts seeing him there as opposed to playing maybe top level soccer still, like being able to watch him in Champions League or whatever. But I wasn't as hurt as this one just because of, I think all the statements and stuff. So 10 years from now, when you look back and is that like, how are you going to, if Handel leaves, which we'll talk about that next, because it doesn't really look like it might not be happening. How do you look back and remember? Do you say, oh, one of the greatest captains, if not the greatest captain? Or do you say, man, it was going good? Because this is probably what I'm going to say is, man, he was my best player, but was a huge disappointment how he left.
So the question is, and this isn't me being, funny in any way, shape, or form, but in 10 years from now, how many people are going to talk about Jordan Henderson? And that's just the way to ask it. You think he's the greatest Liverpool captain in your, lifetime? Fine, I respect it when it comes to individual trophies. But take out Salah, take out Van Dijk, take out Mane. Where does that leave Henderson in that team? And then we go back and look at Gerrard. Take out everybody that was in that team, and Gerrard was still a leader of that team. How he got the team playing in Istanbul, the FA Cup final against West Ham, everything Gerrard has done for the club, you can look back at him and say, holy shit, what a player. Can you do that when it comes to Jordan Henderson? I don't think we'll look in 10 years and say, wow, one of the greatest players ever. I can't believe he left. I think we'll look at him and say, you know what? He was a captain. He was great. He won everything. He left to Saudi and we moved on, because I think this team is going to move on quick with Henderson out. That team will not move on quick with Van Dijk out or Salah out, or right now, I don't know, maybe Thiago for me, right? So that team will move on quick when it comes to Henderson, because yes, he had that heavy impact in the midfield as a leader, but he didn't have that heavy impact as a complete football player. Some people are going to say, good riddance, he's gone.
I think that's harsh, bro. I think his football ability is quite underrated. I do think his ability in the ball is underrated. You don't play for Liverpool for 13 years just being a leader.
I think Hendo is a great footballer, but I think him leaving is not going to leave a gap where we're going to struggle or have a problem to proceed and move on. I said it a few weeks ago. Henderson in that team a few years ago, if he didn't get that red card against Newcastle, we would have won the league, because he was bossing the shit out of that midfield and he was looking great. He's 33 years old. He has slowed down significantly. The first touch ball that he tries to ping every single time, absolutely horrible. He isn't what he used to be. It's okay for us to move on. It's painful because he's a captain. When Sami Hyypiä was gone, I was in such a crazy depression. When Stevie G was out, you don't want to know what happened. When Henderson goes, I'm going to be sad, but I'm not going to be depressed.
I don't think anyone is disagreeing with you there. Like, I just feel like his legacy, if Liverpool are doing a 1-11 of the best Premier League team, he has to probably start in midfield. He just does.
Yeah.
Xabi Alonso, Stevie G. He wouldn't start for me.
He would just, that's in a 2. Would you play 4-4-2? In a 4-3-3, he would play. He has to play. He was unbelievable for a certain amount of time. And you can say Mascherano, Alonso,
Stevie, right? Mascherano, and Xabi,
Yeah, and Mascherano won for Hull and left. And Xabi Alonso won 2 trophies and left.
So for you, let me ask you right now. You get to pick. You can only pick one at their prime to play for Liverpool this coming up season. At their prime, young age, whatever it is. Would you pick Xabi Alonso or would you pick Henderson?
Okay, yeah, but when was Xabi Alonso's prime, would you say? At Real Madrid? Was his prime
when he left us?
Madrid, yeah.
Let's get it right. I think people always definitely get it mixed up. Alonso, I remember when Alonso first, he was garbage for the first 4 months. It took him a long time to settle. He was only there for like 4 years.
Yeah, he struggled to settle.
Yeah. We have. I love Alonso. I adore Alonso. We forget that his last season for Liverpool was his best season. It was his best season when we nearly won the league in 09. That was his best season. And the Mascherano thing, and I completely understand that one as well, by the way. His prime was centre-half for fucking Barcelona when he was playing centre-back. So I just think we get it mixed up a little bit. Again, I agree with you. In 13-14, if he doesn't get sent off against City, we win the league. Yeah. We definitely win that league because no danger. I think there's certain moments in time when there's certain football matches, mate. The Barcelona 4-0 comes to mind. He can't run. And he's still one of the best players on the pitch. He's unbelievable. And I just think his footballing ability does get underrated a little bit of how good a football player he actually was. Right now, do Liverpool take 20 million, 30 million quid all day? All day. You're 33 years of age. You are a servant. You are a legend for Liverpool. But over 10 years, for me, I would look at he's a better captain than Gerrard in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
Gerrard led by example. Like, I'm going to be the best player and you have to get up to my standards. Henderson leads in completely different ways. Henderson's more outspoken, of course, with his political views and stuff like that in terms of support and stuff. And he seemed, of course, like a nicer person. But I just don't want us to underrate his footballing ability. Right now, we know he's not at the level and he shouldn't be playing for Liverpool week in, week out.
I think he's been, like, the leader aspect, obviously. Like, when you look back, you might not think of him. I'm not going to think of him as, oh, man, the things he did on the pitch and stuff. But at the same time, the playing ability he made that team go is probably what I'm going to think of him as, because he does. He is the guy that goes around and sprays WD-40 on all the gears on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that guy doesn't get noticed because the guy who scores or the guy who wins the ball in the back and stuff, the guy who sweeps up the ball because Hendo pressed and forced a bad pass gets the credit for winning the ball. But Hendo, who did the pressing, does not. And I think when you look back, yeah, you might not think of him as, oh, he was such a star. But I think his leadership-wise, and I'm going to say that he did carry this team. I mean, Club constantly says how big of a role those two played. Yeah. And that's what I want to get to now. Price tag-wise, we said we got caught, off guard on this. We were not expecting this. This wasn't the plan, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, because Milner is already gone, I think the leadership void is kind of like everybody's like, it's like anybody can put the armband on. There's a lot more that goes to that. I mean, Van Dijk's play diminishes rapidly the moment he puts that armband on and rolls out onto the field for some reason.
Yeah.
Price-wise, if anybody came, now I think it's almost like half-done deal, so we're trying to recoup what we can. So, Anand, let's start with you. If they came maybe 2 weeks ago and approached for Hendo, knowing, all the captaincy and the leadership, blah, blah, how you prepared, what would you be what would you say, like, give us this much and he's yours?
A minimum of at least 30 million, a minimum. And that's just the starting price. Liverpool captain, one of our long-serving players, legend, has won everything, at least 30 million pounds. But that's not what's happening, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I wonder, how much, the chance.
I would definitely at least start with 30 million. Anything below that for me is insulting in a way or another, to the club and to him as a player. Can you imagine the headlines if Hendo goes for free while still having 2 years left on his contract, or goes for 10 million in a world where players are going for hundreds and hundreds of millions? Your Liverpool captain, one of our best serving captains we've ever had in the club, leaving for 10 million. It's shocking, but there's this clause that everybody's talking about where there's a gentleman's agreement that if he needs to leave to a club that he believes is the right fit for him, he can walk out for free. And I don't understand that. I read so much about this yesterday, trying to prepare for this moment, and it's left me confused as shit.
I don't think it was a clause. I think it's more of a handshake agreement.
Yep, like a gentleman's agreement, yeah.
But also, handshakes are not written on paper. So, you know what I mean? We don't think that's the right fit for you, Jordan, so we're going to negotiate a price tag. I think Jordan's been left with his pants down.
Or it could have been like, hey, that handshake would work 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where we had time to react and do stuff.
Yeah.
You can't do that now. We're in freaking camp over here.
If Sunderland just got promoted, like they nearly did last year, that would have been the handshake. I want to go after Sunderland at 33. No problem at all. That's a free transfer for you. We'll let that happen. But I think it's difficulty, and this is a key one I want to ask you guys. Is it Jordan Henderson's team who's leaking this? Or is it the Saudi teams that are leaking this? Because Liverpool do not have transfers where they go, oh, the players are about to eat his lunch. He's having a burrito. It's going to be amazing. It's like Liverpool do not have transfers like this, in or out. So we are getting daily, like hourly updates on Henderson and what he is doing. He had a meeting with Klopp at 12 o'clock. And Klopp said there's no game times limit. Who is leaking this stuff? Because if it's that bit, that sounds like it's a Henderson thing. Or is Henderson passing that on to the Saudi club going, I've been told I'm not going to play? Then is the Saudi clubs releasing this? I just find it interesting because we really need to find the balance here. Is it Henderson's team or is it the Saudi club that is releasing it?
I've been thinking heavily that Henderson's team is leaking this. Dominic King is the main journalist that's posting all this, and we know he's worked with Henderson on his book and all that talk. And it's making me uncomfortable that now the Saudis know about this handshake agreement, and there's no way Liverpool's like, hey, listen, if you do this, you can have him for free. That just didn't happen. So I think Henderson's team is leaking this to do one of two things: either get Liverpool to say, oh no, God no, please don't go, or okay, you're gone. And I bet you anything, he's surprised with the response that Liverpool have shown, saying, hey, if you want to go, you can go. That's probably throwing him off. But yeah, his team is doing a really great job of absolutely fucking everything up.
Yeah, I don't know, because Chris says, is it leaked or is it being fabricated to drive the narrative? I kind of go towards fabricated, or, assumed that, like, oh yeah, he talked to Klopp and Klopp said, you're not going to play as much. I mean, I guess it would be like, yeah, it looks like these midfielders are more healthy than what we used to have, so there's probably going to be less minutes to go around. But I don't see Klopp saying, yeah, you're not going to play as much.
No.
And I don't at the same time see Klopp forcing Handel, no, you're not going, you're staying either. So if Handel says, like, handshake or butt shake, whatever they shook, I think regardless, if somebody goes to Klopp and says, I want out, I don't think Klopp is the kind of player like, well, you're staying now. Or we can do what we did with Keita, and
I think the truth is somewhere. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Yeah, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think the manager wants to sell him or wanted to sell him. I don't think, and I also is a Henderson's team leaking this. If they are, man, they are really, really going about this the wrong way, completely the wrong way. If it is Henderson's team, that's why I feel like I always look at Fabrizio Romano as always a great example. He has fuck all on Liverpool. He knows nothing about Liverpool. He knows a lot about other clubs, and he knows I'm completely. Oh, Liverpool, he knows fuck all. He released the Sabolsky thing. Liverpool in talks with Sabolsky after Paul Joyce did it. After all the locals did it, then he did it, and when CC Paul Joyce, because kind of thing like, oh yeah, he got the news before me, because he knows nothing. It feels like he's getting hourly updates about Jordan Henderson and his career move and what's about to happen here. So I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I would say if it is his team, they have to relax a bit here, because they are negotiating with a club who are not PIF owned, and sounds like they have basically no kind of money to pay you transfer fees up front. So Jordan Henderson might be have to go back to crawling back to Liverpool in a couple of weeks with his tail between his legs and say, I'm so sorry about that. And that would his legacy more, I think.
And that's exactly that brings my next question. If this deal to Saudi doesn't go through, does Liverpool keep looking to sell and maybe sell him to a mid-table club in the Premier League?
Liverpool keep him. Liverpool definitely.
Yeah, because nobody's going to pay that money for him that we didn't accept from.
I just don't think it's.
It's just, how you remember the awkward situation with Stevie G, with wanting to leave to Chelsea, not wanting to leave, and then he comes back, and it's a little awkward everywhere at the club, and that's your leader. Same thing happens here. Hendo comes back in after wanting to go to Saudi for $700,000 a week, after bashing pretty much that side of the world for their inhumane treatment of a million freaking people. How does that look to the club? Because remember, we're talking about how great of a leader he is. He walks back into that locker room. Is he being looked at the same as that great leader?
The only reason why he stays at Liverpool, if it happens, is because Liverpool haven't got time to get the replacement.
Right.
If Liverpool had the time to go and sign 2 free midfielders, I think Liverpool would still sell him and go, you know what, just cut ties to get Jordan, do you know what I mean? The players are, this and that. We're probably looking at Trent to be the captain or Virgil or whatever that is now. And I just feel like Liverpool haven't got the time to do it, to replace Fabinho and the Henderson. Let's get it right. Liverpool might be signing 4 to 5 midfielders here if both of these transfers go through. So I just feel like if they do Fabinho and Henderson, they can't get that deal done. They just keep him only because they haven't got the time to do it. Otherwise,
a couple of things there. Chris says, Stevie's a Scotch. I think that's one big difference. The other difference, he was going to Chelsea.
It's not. Yeah,
it's not that. I feel like that's a huge difference. He was going to a rival. He contemplated going to a rival. I think everybody over here sees this as he's getting the paycheck. The guy is taking care of his family, generational wealth, all that kind of bullshit. So I think it's kind of like different in that sense. And at the same time, by the way, I feel if there is a freaking leak, it's freaking Stevie. And I think Chris mentioned it earlier. Let's not forget that how he he better not come to Liverpool as a manager after fucking over Liverpool and going after the players and opening the window after the freaking like campus start and everything like that. Obviously,
yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I think Hendo can come out now, right? If this thing doesn't go down, Hendo can come out now and say, hey, like, yeah, Stevie, if Stevie asks, you listen. They offer this much money. It is a lot of money. I was contemplating. I said, if you guys agree with the club, if Liverpool is okay with it, and they couldn't, so I'm here to do my job, and I think he can move on a lot easier.
Yes, that's exactly
that's what I would say if I'm Hendo and I'm backing out of this. Is 100%. Probably what I would say.
1,000%, you are correct. 100%.
Yeah, so Hendo, you got my number. If you need a PR person, just look me up.
Let me do this. In 5 seconds, rapid fire, both of you. Is Hendo staying or leaving?
Leaving.
Fucking hell, it's probably leaving. Sadly, I want him to stay though.
I do want him to stay, but again, only because of the time. I don't think Liverpool can integrate 4 to 5 new midfielders in one season, and I do not want a transitional season. It feels like Gakpo and Nunes are about to get, and Diaz especially, are about to get their shooting boots on. It feels like we can really kick on with these guys now, and I don't want to integrate 5 new midfielders. But going back to the Stevie as a scout, I think it's nothing to do with that. Stevie was in the summer of 05 when that happened. For the season of 05-06, Steven Gerrard plays right wing, scores 25 goals, it becomes player of the year, and Liverpool win the FA Cup. That's how he gets back in the good graces. He goes out to be the best player again.
Yeah.
Oh, if Jordan Henderson it's like the Suarez thing. Suarez, I go back to the Arsenal thing, which no one mentions. He was training with the kids in the summer. He comes back after his ban. He scores 31 goals, and Liverpool nearly win the league. So it's all forgotten about. So if Jordan Henderson comes back and puts in solid performances, by Christmas, no one even talks about it. Because they go, Jordan Henderson's amazing. He's taking McAllister out the team, and he's unbelievable again. So it's a time will tell.
The other thing is, though, people already are Hendo haters. You know that Kazi. Yeah. Anytime he makes a bad pass, now it's going to be like, you should have fucked off to Saudi Arabia.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what's. Yeah, I think, wasn't. I think it, like I say, that situation was totally different in terms of where he was going more than, and plus who he is at the time, I think. But this one, I think there's an easy way out for Hendo out of this because he's been smart enough not to say anything about it all this time. He can kind of back out and kind of put it all on. I don't know what's going on over there. Those two clubs are talking to each other. I'm practicing over here.
For all we know, he could come out and say,
and just keep going. I'm just boxing,
Exactly, and he could just come out and say, I had nothing. I wasn't even talking to anyone. I was getting ready for preseason. You see my photos. I'm running and I'm working out. What the hell? Rumors, and it's done.
Maybe like a cryptic Instagram post of just him. Just like I'm going nowhere, like him stand on the rocky steps or something. I don't know.
Right. He'll never walk alone.
Like I have no idea what you're talking about, kind of thing. It's just been like a Spotify music of like a song, just saying I'm going at nowhere or something like that.
And speaking of leaks, James Pearce has been extremely silent this transfer window.
James Pearce is out of the loop.
Jurgen hates him that much.
Ever since he left, he's been out. Yeah, so he is.
Jurgen hates him that much. After that press conference when he called him out, he's done.
Yeah.
He's not getting anything, man. And you can almost tell that he is bitter. Like all the news he puts out,
it's always angry.
Yes, and over the top negative. They're like,
it's always like, this is why Jurgen's a dickhead. It's like always like, and he's got like 5 different reasons.
This is why Liverpool should go and get Graham Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Like pros and cons of Jurgen. Pros, nothing. Cons, everything. It's been so bitter that I'm almost enjoying it.
I'm waiting for next week. Why Liverpool should consider Frank Lampard as
exactly. He is God. This is the biggest fall from grace I've seen since Jordan Henderson going to Saudi Arabia.
Speaking of shitty media, let's talk about this. I don't know if you guys get a chance to look at that, but Veli's interview, I thought it was like really, really good. Actually, it was like really interesting to see. I mean, this dude was freaking like mocked and abused in Turkey as well for what he did on the pitch because he didn't do a whole lot and he was kind of like brought in as this big name and he's going to be number 10. He's going to resurrect his career at Beşiktaş and stuff like that, and far from it. But they kind of had to do this because the media got a hold of the news and they were going to go to it. They were kind of like threatening it. So Del Ali's PR said, you know what, let's get ahead of this and let's do our own interview and get the actual news out. Even then, and this is like the part that pisses me off the most, probably, especially as I watched the reasoning of why they did this interview, Kazi, is I woke up in the morning and I saw this as a headline on ESPN. And when I clicked on the link, in terms of like, they kind of like summarize this interview, but they summarized it so conveniently that if you just read that article, it made it sound like he was kind of going at Mourinho for this. Because he like mentions like he was playing for it. Like they put a quote about him talking about when Mourinho cut him. That's when he was kind of like doubting himself and stuff. But they mentioned nothing about the conversation that happened with Mourinho after, because he pretty much goes out of his way to says it has nothing to do with Jose and stuff like that. But this, in a nutshell, says how much of a shit media is. And that's why I never can blame players. If it upsets me looking at it from this side, I can only imagine being a player on the other side of it and dealing with media.
When I first seen the headline, it was Sky News on Twitter, and Sky News' headline was Dele Alli, I was sexually assaulted at age 6. And you're like, he's literally talking about that and said, and you've just done exactly what he's talked about. Like, you've took the snippet and went, that's the headline, that gets me clicks, and I'm going with it. I watched the interview. Amazing interview, really. Thought Neville was brilliant as well, asking him the right questions. And, Gary Neville is a wonderful, wonderful reporter, unfortunately, and he is a wonderful interviewer. Feel so sorry for him in terms of, we all have different coping mechanisms and how we deal with our problems, and he's dealt with it a certain way. We all thought, and let's get this right as football fans, he's a kid who was given too much money, too young, and he's fell off a cliff. We all thought that, and we all should just be honest in how we felt, and that's what we felt about Dele Alli. We all felt that if Steven Gerrard never took a nap that day, he would have played for Liverpool, because that was going to happen. So it could have been completely different again. He goes to a Spurs side who has, and he talks about the influence of Poch, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
As like a father figure kind of deal, the way he was talking about it. Because if you actually look at that Spurs side, who Liverpool played in the Champions League, and before that, there was no like 33-year-old senior figure in that side. They were a bunch of young kids who just kind of got up together. So there wasn't like a Steven Gerrard who'd been there and done it and put your arm around you kind of deal, and treat you like that. So sad. The best part I took out of this is he said he feels like he's got the hunger back, like he has before he went to Spurs. I thought that was a really interesting point, because for Everton, at least, if you do get that player back, you've got a hell of a player on your hands. You've got a hell of a player on your hands, and I hope and sounds like he's got the support he needs. But it goes back to the point of the reason why he did this is because the media got hold of it, and the media is starting to twist his words again. So hopefully we can nip that in the bud now and understand what he's actually going through.
What do you think, Anand? I mean, like I say, he talks about, if this helps one person, and I think it will, because the way he came about it, and like kind of like somebody will be there. But at the same time, you can kind of see that this is going to be an ongoing problem, because I don't know, because I'm just getting older, or because of the internet and social media, but I feel like the media is only getting worse and not any better.
Yeah, that's the media for you, right? That's their dirty, dirty job. That's how they make their money. That's how they get their clicks. You said it, the article could have said anything, but it says, I was sexually assaulted at age 6, because they know people are going to say, whoa, what? Click. And then they'll read the rest of the article, or maybe won't even read it. They'll just search for that part where, where's the sexual assault? And that's what the media does. We were just talking about the media and James Street a couple of minutes ago. It's that dirty bit of media that gets clicks. Klopp was angry with Pierce because of an article that he wrote that goes on and disrespects Klopp. And Klopp's like, where did you get that shit from? In a way or another, right? And that's what the media is doing here. Such an unfortunate story for Dele Alli. One of the best players we saw at that Spurs team at the time. So young, so fast, so fluid. His long balls, his passing, his pace was beautiful. And then, boom, we were just talking about falls from grace. One of the biggest falls from grace. And we see and we look at it. And, how many of us did we make that joke over the last year or two when that video of Mourinho telling him, you're not going to do well? And then we share, well, haha, Mourinho called it, what a genius. Yeah. Nobody ever stopped and said, what happened to this guy? And this interview, like you said, great work by Gary Neville. Such a heartbreaking interview. And in a way, I'm so glad that it's out, because it could have been something that's haunting him and killing him on the inside, that it's taken his mind away from his football. But now that it's out, he can put his focus back on his football. And throughout the season, you're going to hear about this article again and again and again. Whether he plays well or plays bad, it's going to be brought up. So why not take that to his advantage as a motivation, as a way to start that fire under his ass and get going again? If there's a player I believe in to come back, it's Dele. I think he's only 27 years old, 28.
Yeah.
He's got
prime, really. Like, this
yeah,
should be prime.
He's got a good time ahead of him. And I fully believe that he's going to bounce back. And I'm praying for him, and I'm hoping the best for him as long as it's away from Liverpool at any game, just not when he's facing us.
Exactly. Yeah, criticisms were all good. And here's the thing, though. We have to kind of like differentiate. I mean, just because, I mean, we were right. And he even says that Mourinho was right to criticize his play at the time. And I think we're right to criticize. We can't just take any bad performance and say, man, what's going on? I wonder with his life and stuff, and not say anything negative about a player, because then, you know, it would Keita would still be hanging around. So I mean, that's the thing. I think you have to draw a different line, and you could tell that, you know, this kid already had all this trauma, and maybe like that success Kazi was kind of almost like holding it down, but the moment that goes away, it kind of like comes up to the top again, and he just can't find the energy to battle it.
I don't want to say we've all been like in a certain spot, of course, where we're just like, you just can't be bothered to do anything anymore. And that is kind of the motivation. You know, the one thing for Dele, I would, and I'm just with the nail on the head, he now controls the narrative. He controls the narrative. This is what happened to me. You're not letting the media control the narrative anymore and then come up with their own ideas and put 2 and 2 together and come up with 56. He's controlled the narrative. Here's what's happened. Here's how I am. I was in a rehab centre for 6 weeks for sleeping pills and stuff. And again, super proud of him for coming out like that, because it's a brutal world, man. It really is a brutal world. And for you to come out and speak like that openly is great. I hope he gets and even if it is at Everton, I hope he gets his career back on track at Everton. If it means, you know, he can go on to be a good player. I still want him to finish 18th next year. But if he goes on and scores 12,
but with Dele in peak form,
Dele, fantastic, then great for him. You know what I mean? That'd be wonderful. If he scores a goal against Liverpool, then I will not be wonderful for him. But you know, that's just my bitterness coming through. But no, great for him, wonderful, and I hope it encourages more players to come out and speak like that. Players who have kind of went down the leagues, or young players who've went, you know, had. I look at the young players at Liverpool, and I don't know if they would have at the level, but players like Danny Pacheco and Christian Nemeth, and I remember even Teixeira, who only a few years ago, he was meant to be the next big thing. And I don't know if they ever, I don't want to assume that they were suffering from mental health problems at all. But there's a thing where you go, well, these are meant to be the next big thing. These kids, what's happened? Kind of think, what has happened to these lads? So it's interesting.
Remember Samid Yesil, that Turkish, that younger talent that was supposed to come in, suffered with injuries and then mental health, and then, goodness gracious, one of the saddest stories ever, came in at 17 or 18, and he was supposed to be like that next Torres, and goodness, what a sad story there. Danny Pacheco.
I remember Samid Yesil came on against West Brom in the League Cup third round. I think he scored the winner. And I was like, oh, this is the kid that they were all talking about in the youth team. This is the one. I always like David Ngog is a good example. David Ngog scores that goal against United, which everyone remembers Reina running the length of the pitch. He scored an unbelievable winner against Arsenal. One of the best finishes you'll ever see, by the way, if everyone wants to pull that up for the striker. And then 5 years later, he's playing for Ross County in the Scottish Premier League. And it's like, what's happened there? There has to be something that's happened. I'm not saying mentally. I'm not saying he's had trauma. I'm not saying that. But is that a motivation in terms of football? But I think we all need to stop, as football fans, take a minute when we're reviewing players and how we're talking about footballers and talking still human beings at the end.
Exactly. I'm with Kazi.
Not every poor form is like mental issues. You know, like sometimes you just had a spell where you looked better than you did. You matched your YouTube clip that maybe you're worth kind of an ordeal. But let me ask you guys this, and then, this will be our parting ways. But I mean, do you guys think, like Kazi, I mean, teams invest millions and millions paying young kids a ton of money, but maybe do they not invest as much in basically providing them mental health, making sure they're in good health place? Or these kids, with getting this money and their status so early, wouldn't ask for or feel like they need that help at that time anyway. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 mental guys on board, nothing's going to be done until they actually do. Because look at Dele, for example. If he keeps going, he wins they beat us, he wins the Champions League. This story is never coming out. This is probably never coming out unless Dele Alli hits bottom.
Yeah.
right? Because that's when he stops and says, I gotta freaking do something. He's not saying it when he's like going out to the Champions League final against Liverpool and be like, man, I gotta freaking do something. He's not. That's not like the process of thought. So you think, because I know like people were talking about like the clubs, like they should invest more in the mental health, the youth players and stuff. But do you think that would even make a difference? Because when they're at their peak, these young kids do not even think of that. It's only when things go bad that you need that support.
It's a good point, really. I don't know. I mean, I do think clubs should be doing a lot better anyway, because that's what, like, if this is on a football as a whole kind of deal. Footballers are commodities, whether we like it or not. They are. When you get sold, and that's we sell you off. You're getting sold off. So that's why I have no issue, of course. Going back kind of not to a Henderson situation, but players going to get money. I'm going, you know what? I'm going to cash in then. Fuck you, because you treated me like shit, and I'm going to cash in or whatever that is, kind of thing. So I think there's a balance there for all footballers, and this is all we're telling kids from the age of 7 that they're going to be the next Messi, and this is all football clubs. We need proper things in place, and this is a difficult part, and this is normal life. That kid, when he's 7, will be the best player in his team by a mile, playing for Liverpool at the books up until the age of 17, 18. Then he gets told they're not good enough. I think this is kind of the charity that Trent's kind of set up right now, of getting these players back on board. So he's seen it. He's seen this. The difficulty is, and I think this is a good one for everyone to listen to. These kids are coming from nothing. Their parents are bricklayers, they're plasterers, they do nothing. They have minimum wage jobs, kind of deal. They are your way out to a better life, is your kid. Now, this is a bit different because I know we are on, of course, an American podcast, so it's good to bring up, is the Ja Morant situation. Ja Morant has never been told no since the age of 13 in his life. Yeah. He's been told yes, because you are going to the NBA and you're going to make me 200 million quid. These kids haven't been told no 10, 11, 12 since the age of then, because you're going to go and sign that one Premier League. That first contract, by the way, could be $5,000 a week. It's $250K a year. It's at that kind of level. That is so it's even that first contract. If you sign a 5-year contract for 5 years, guys, and you break your leg the next day, they've got to pay you that contract. You're still a millionaire. That's it's very, very difficult for us to say, yes, they need to do more mental health. We need to do a lot more around it. It needs to be not more of a stringent subject. And the clubs need to do better, all clubs. But also, it's never going to change. Because again, these kids have never been told no.
Yep.
These kids have never, and it's completely understandable why they haven't been told no, by the way. Who are we to tell a parent at the age of 12, 13 when your kid is scoring 10 goals a game? Raheem Sterling's the famous one, isn't he? QPR, when he scored 5 or 6 goals in a youth game when he was like 15, playing against the under-18s. And then he signed for Liverpool and the rest is history kind of thing. So that's the balance that we need to have. But I don't think it is going to change. Yes, we need to do more support of their mental health. But is it going to change kids' way of thinking or parents' way of thinking? No, it's not.
Leave alone, like being pro. I mean, I've seen it as, like my girls, my girls over here, like they play soccer. I've seen it, and these are well-off families in the US because they're paying a lot of money. So they're not like financially like difficult families. They're paying a lot of money for like club soccer and stuff. Like do this stuff to their kids and push just for the college money and just for the status, nothing alone. Leave. So I can only imagine when it's your way out as life, like lifestyle. That's not even the concern over here. That's like tenfold. Before we go on, like, let me get your take as well.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. These kids at a young age aren't being told no, and also are being treated like a commodity. I got to make sure you stay good, you stay healthy, you stay clean, because in 3 years you're making me $250,000 a week, a year, right? So these kids are being raised in a way where I don't give a shit about how you feel. You need to feel good because we got to get paid, and that's the sad truth of it. Jordan Ibe was one great example I was thinking of earlier. Had such a great start to his career at Liverpool. He was being compared to Raheem Sterling, and at some point Daniel Sturridge was like, "Oh, this guy's going to be better," and then boom. False, and that's it. He's done. And then he started talking about mental health, started talking about depression and all that, and nobody even gave a shit about him because that's it. He's no good for us anymore. We're not going to make anything out of him. We move on. So yeah, better mental health outlets for these professional footballers at the club, especially when they're at a younger age. But I think it starts with the parents at home. These kids aren't a commodity. These kids aren't a product. Let's treat them like human beings. Let's treat them like, yes, they're going to be professional footballers, but also they are your kids. Yeah. Let's treat them that way.
I mean, it's 100% correct. And that's what we need to do. But unfortunately, that's never going to change because there's kids who are, again, minimum wage, stand on the sideline with your kid, pissing down rain. We've all done it to watch football and soccer, and it's never going to change, unfortunately. And by the way, the reason I keep checking my phone is because I was expecting a Henderson or a Fabinho announcement while we were live on the podcast, because knowing look, it always happens. We turn off the pod and something.
Yes, right?
Like, go, come on. Do it now while we're on the pod.
Okay, so real quick before we go, Monday morning when we come on the morning show, are they both here? Who's here? Henderson, Fabinho. Are they both here, Kazi?
Fabinho is gone. Henderson will be a Liverpool player still by then.
And then Monday morning, who's here? Who's not? I'm here with Mateusz, but who else?
Both are gone.
Ooh.
Both are gone. I go with Kazi, and I think this is more my heart talking than my head, to be honest.
So I'll tell you guys a little something why today no moves are happening. You're not seeing anything in the news. It's Friday. It's a holiday in Saudi Arabia. It's Friday's the weekend. Friday, Saturday. Friday's a religious day. We go to the mosque and do all that good stuff. Go spend time with your family. No deals happen. Saturday, the talks resume. Sunday, the moves happen. Right. Also, remember, both clubs are, Al Ittihad are banned from signing anyone because they owe some money. They'll pay it off by Saturday night. They'll sign Fabinho by Sunday, Monday. Henderson's gone by tomorrow.
Chris is totally against the grain. He says only Handogan. So that should be interesting. I will be back Monday morning with the Polish Prince and see what's happening then. Yeah, I really like my heart hopes that Fab is gone. I mean, nothing against Fab, but I feel like that's a good deal for the club overall and probably for everybody involved. But I do hope Hando stays and gives me a call so I can write down the statement that he should be making. So you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for all your likes and comments and stuff. Saito was here earlier as well. We will see you guys Monday morning. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Take care.